Fred. All right.
Fred.
Like, dude, you're an idiot.
I'm doing very well, Jen. Is it just gonna be me and you, or Eli and Zach gonna pop in?
Yeah, they'll talk every once in a while. But
Every now and then we'll kind of
he was already right away.
It kind of, well, we're used to you attacking us, so.
Yeah. that is-
Sorry.
Look at
Let's just put it this way. Who do you see as the quarterback week 1 for the Green Bay Packers?
I see.
Welcome in, everybody, to a very special edition of Open Book here on Game On Wisconsin. As you can see, we're all dressed in our greatest Hawaiian outfits, which we're going to get to very shortly, but there's a piece of breaking news that happened literally just as I hit go live, and this is going to blow both of your minds, but Adrian Amos and Darnell Savage are the safeties for the Green Bay Packers.
You are so fucking lame. Did you guys plan this before I got here? Was like that like?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
god, that was. I'm so sick of this shit,
You
man.
should have seen your face, Zach. You were like, "What happened in the last 10 seconds?"
I was like, I got my phone right here. I would get notifications.
Yeah.
I
Well,
didn't think it
now
would
you
happen.
know.
You did this to yourself. You're welcome.
Yeah. So now
I
you know.
didn't. What did I do? I didn't do anything. All I said was
You
I
just
want.
broadcasted to the world. Like
I
if you
just
just
said-
like suffered in silence, then
Yeah.
nobody would have known.
Well, because I know interacting gives people the joy and like letting them get their jokes off at my expense, of course.
Yeah, of course. And obviously, Henry Black plays a lot. Joe Barry likes 3 safeties. I mean, all this is breaking news to Zach, so we thought it was important to bring that up. But back to our regularly scheduled
I'm gonna
programming.
stab myself in the face.
As you can see, we chose tonight to be Hawaiian night. I'm not sure what that's going to add to anything, but we thought it would be fun. It would be a more, laid back, do the, oh yeah, Jen, didn't you say you have one of the lays, one of the
Oh
necklaces?
no, I just made a joke. I don't actually have
Oh,
one.
Okay. Well,
I just made an inappropriate joke backstage.
yeah.
Is it just me or is Jen's internet bad?
Yeah, Jen, your internet, for the first time, I think me and Zach can both say
Yeah.
Jen's internet's the worst.
Thank you. Oh my god.
Wait,
I've been waiting for this.
what about now?
You stole look pixelated.
Yeah.
This is the best day of my life. This is the greatest.
Thank you, Chris. About time.
I think I accidentally clicked the wrong. Is it okay now?
No.
Oh, I keep disconnecting from my Ethernet. That's the problem.
Yeah, well,
Your Ethernet?
Yeah,
My
nothing like
Ethernet, yeah.
Why did we designate tonight as Hawaiian night? What was the
I
reason?
don't know.
behind
I
that?
think we've been just like talking about it for a year, and then we were just like, let's just do it. But I will say that I, outside of just wearing this shirt, have some of Dwayne The Rock Johnson's tequila, who is a native Hawaiian of some kind, and I have my new Packer shot glass. So we'll have some Hawaii involved in the show. But before we get to a little bit of news, and honestly, a tweet of mine that I think has been taken in a lot of different contexts than maybe, and we'll discuss it ourselves, and I was maybe intending. But before we get to that, as always, love to hear how you guys are doing, how your week was. So Jen, how you doing? I see it's a big day. Thor and Loki's birthday, I believe.
Oh yes, my cat's turned 3 today. I know, big deal. I'm kind of thrown off because now I'm frustrated about my internet because this is like what I pride myself on every week. Is it still bad?
Yeah.
It's not good.
I don't know what's going on. Maybe it disconnected.
Lay it to her straight. Just let her know.
It must be. It must be. The Minnesota weather. It's got to be.
It could be. I mean, I'm like afraid to talk now because who knows what I sound like or if I'm gonna freeze or.
It actually does look like. Well, no, your audio sounds fine.
Okay.
Visual's not the best, but we're used to that here in Open Book. So I'm assuming you got them a birthday cake of some
What
kind.
an asshole.
What did I do?
Your view's not the best, but we're here. We're used to that here on.
But it
Open
doesn't
Book.
matter, you know.
Oh no, I meant like because I've had bad internet before. You've had bad internet before.
Uh-huh.
No,
That is
I never have bad internet. This is
That
it doesn't make any
definitely
sense.
not it, man.
I'm about to text my sister and tell her to go check the box and make sure.
Chris makes
Oh,
it
good.
different.
Okay.
long as
That's
you
all
can
that
see
matters. I really don't care if you can see me as long as you can see Jordy's name. That's really all that
Yeah.
matters to me.
Ugh. What?
Shut up.
All right. So yeah, that's Jen currently dealing with her internet and her
Yeah.
cat's aging at a rapid pace. Zach, how about you?
You're
How's
so
it?
mean to me.
What do you mean? The cats, they just seem to be getting older.
You always look bad. Your cats are getting old. Like,
Well, as you can see, I lie.
Thank you, Tom. I was actually curious about that because I didn't
Yeah.
know who the Packers starting safeties were. I thought it was like I showed you that screenshot, Tom, in our personal conversation. There was a screenshot. Sean Davis is your starting strong safety. Vernon Davis is your starting free safety. That was the impression that I was under, but I
Jordan
guess
Davis.
I was
True.
misled.
Oh,
Did you just say
all right.
Jordan Davis?
No, I said Vernon Davis. Like the
Who
tight
the fuck is
end.
Vernon? Oh.
He was fun to watch.
Right. Okay. All right. That makes
Yeah.
sense now. But yeah,
Um,
to answer your question, yeah, I'm doing fantastic. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
exhausted. I'm really tired. I'm hiding it really well with this fake energy. It's like the last bit of energy that I have right now left in the tank.
All right, that's good.
So yeah,
I think we're all in that boat. You know, Thursday shows. I feel like I do enjoy more than Wednesday, but you feel like it's the end of the week. You're kind of already going into weekend mode, and then we're doing the show, and you got to kind of flip that switch. But very excited to be doing it. The show.
sorry
once
we had to
again.
make the switch and ruin your mojo. But
yeah. Thanks, Jen, for ruining everything for
Yeah,
everybody.
and Jen,
I
you
don't even
should
know why I'm
know
here tonight.
your internet seems to have recovered.
Oh, good.
Yes,
But your
so,
cats are still getting old,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
the cats are still aging rapidly. That's for sure.
That's okay. So am I, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
We all are. Zach's for sure faster than the both of us.
Yeah,
but-
Zach's the old man here.
At least I still have my hair, unlike Eli. Bald
unbelievable.
bastard.
I'm a bald guy. That's why I wear this hat. It's to hide my baldness.
Yeah, we know.
So each week I'm going to be trying to add more to this wall. This week I got the title town going.
Mm-hmm.
Javier. And you know what? At least I'm as I think it was Chris. Was it Chris? I don't know. Someone. Yeah. See, Chris. I bought a Packers Hawaiian shirt.
This one's Packers themed. What are you talking about?
Oh, it is. Okay, so Zach's the only.
Mine is like vintage Packers.
No, I have respect for myself. I would never buy a team themed Hawaiian
I didn't
shirt.
buy this. I was given this. With a lot of other vintage.
I flew to Hawaii and I sewed this myself on the sands of Maui, like an old woman. It was
Shut your
great.
ass up. You.
But either way,
Paid
There
for it
is-
in $10.
There was a Saints fan. Well, there is a Saints fan in our group chat with Javier, and he has a Saints Hawaiian shirt, and we make fun of him for it constantly because it's on his. He puts that picture on his dating profile.
ooh, that's a questionable move. I mean, this is the first time I've ever worn this, and I think I've owned it for almost a year. So yeah, I'll be honest.
Eli literally bought that shirt specifically so we could do Hawaiian nights on open.
I never was going to own this shirt. I mean, I do, respect myself to some extent, but for Hawaiian night and for some good tequila, I'll buy a shirt. But all right, let's talk a little bit of Packer football because we're almost 10 minutes into the show.
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah. I feel like that hasn't happened yet, but honestly, not a huge news week, but there has been some press conferences because of the NFL meetings down in Florida, and Matt LaFleur, Goody had a press conference, Mark Murphy had some comments. So Zach, I think, the quote most going around from Matt LaFleur was about adding speed to the wide receiver room. And obviously with MVS leaving, we know they need that. We're not going to get into Devontae at the moment, but with just considering speed, do you see, someone in the draft as being like someone that really sticks out speed-wise, or do you think maybe someone they could trade for, like a Brandon Cooks or even a DK Metcalf, could fill that role for that speedster to take the top off a defense?
Well, see, that's the great thing about this draft. Like I've said it a few different times. There's no Jerry Jeudy. There's no CeeDee Lamb. There's no clear 1 and 2 at headlining the entire class, like the top dogs of the class. It's not top heavy, but it's so rich in depth. And I think the one thing the one type of player that like really stands out in this class, like as far as like prototypes go, it's a speedster. It's a guy with speed, quickness, a guy who can stretch the field, get behind the secondary. So even if the Packers decide, to stick with what they've been doing for the last 20 years and not take a receiver in round 1, they could sit there at 53 and 59 and talented guys are going to fall to them. Christian Watson might be there. John Mechie might be there. Sky Moore probably won't drop there. John Dotson probably won't drop there. But, if the opportunity presents itself for them to add some speed into that room, it's going to be available. The thing is, there's certain guys that don't fit those thresholds that they look for. Like Dotson and Moore.
See,
that's the shitty part.
Because Jahan Dotson is quickly becoming one of my favorite receivers in this draft.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm seeing his RAS is like 6.7 something. And some of these thresholds, like you said, that there seems to be very, very keen on with drafting, he's not meeting. Some other guys aren't meeting. But I do hope that they're willing to, go out of their comfort zone and not just all over the place, but at least a little bit to see what they can get, with really talented players, because I think Dotson, in my opinion, like I'm really, really high on Dotson.
Yeah, well, I mean, they strayed from their thresholds to take Amari Rodgers. That was like something that kind of surprised me. He didn't meet their requirements, and so far it hasn't really worked out. So, of course, not writing him off just yet. I mean, he's still so much ahead of him, but they're no, he's in the negatives. Eli's in the negatives.
Oh my gosh, potentially.
And they're probably going to look at Amari Rodgers and be like, okay, we strayed from the thresholds. Hasn't worked out for us so far. We're probably going to stick to, the higher athlete kind of scale that they've been going for. Marcus Valdez-Scantling, Equanimous St. Brown, Jamon Moore. They were all crazy good athletes. So they'll probably stick to that mold. That's why I feel like Christian Watson is like the most Packer-like pick.
Yeah.
And he's tall, but he also has speed. So they would get the best of both worlds with him.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would definitely like him. And I think you could also, like you said, get him at 53. I think he could end up being a second round guy, because I'm sure Packer fans, and myself probably included, would freak out if they ended up with taking two guys in the first round and neither of them were receivers. But having 53 and 59 does put them in a position that they could still address that need in the second round.
And and that goes back to what Mark Murphy said,
Yeah.
And I know you wanted to get to this, but he said it's going to be a really interesting draft for with what they have, with the position that they're in, with the 4 drafts. This is the first time since
they're trading back.
they're probably trading back, if we're being honest.
At some point, yeah. I mean,
they will trade, whether it's forward or whether it's backward. They're going to trade at some point.
I've just kind of grown accustomed to, they're going to trade back, and I just have to mentally prepare myself for that. And then anything else that happens, it's just kind of like an extra treat.
Well,
that's
I mean,
my draft take. I don't do much draft stuff, so that's my draft take.
I think they could
prepare
trade.
to go back.
if let's say they were to take someone at 22 and then trade 28, and then all of a sudden you have like 3 second round picks, and then you add like another 4th, you have like 3 seconds and 3 4ths, and you could probably move back into the 3rd round with those 4th rounder. Like, the options are there. Like Murphy said, I think when he says to me very interesting, I think for themselves, they don't even know. Like, there's so many ways it could fall out. And I think we knew this before, but basically once the Jordan Love draft happened, I just said, okay, like, that's it. I'm done. Like, I'm not even going to pretend like I know what the hell they're thinking or doing, because it wasn't just Jordan Love. Love shocked everyone. And then they followed it up with A.J. Dillon behind Jones and Williams. Of course, it worked out, but still at the time was shocking. And then DeGuara, a year after drafting Sternberger. Again, Sternberger no longer on the team. We'll see about DeGuara, but there's no way of predicting what Goody and that front office is going to do. And I just don't even think there's a point in trying. You could hope, you could do mock drafts, you could think this, think that, but who knows? And Chris does make a good point, and this is something that I wanted to ask your guys' opinion on, and something that over the last 2 hours, my phone has been nonstop buzzing, because after Bobby Wagner, future first ballot Hall of Famer, signed with the Rams, one of many additions the Rams have made over the last 12 months. I tweeted out that the Rams have done more in terms of adding outside talent to their team in a year than the Packers have done for Rodgers essentially for his entire career. And there's been a lot of mixed, feelings on that. A lot of people saying, yeah, that's how I feel. A lot of people saying I'm out of my mind. And, people bringing up, oh, but Jordy and James Jones and Cobb and Jennings. And obviously that's not my point. My point was never to say they drafted well or didn't draft well. My point was to say at times, whether it was during free agency or at the trade deadline during the year, there were guys available. It seems like every year the Packers have expressed interest. The Packers have been linked to so-and-so and linked and expressed interest, and nothing ever really ends up happening. And so for me, I just look at it as you go and you sign a guy like Von Miller, who's going to be a Hall of Famer. You sign OBJ, who, if it weren't for some injuries, but we all know that he's one of the most talented receivers in the NFL. You go now, you bring in Bobby Wagner, and they just even Sony Michel, who was someone as a huge part of their playoff run, just adding talent in any way they can. And yeah, there could be mortgaging their future in terms of the draft, but it won them a Super Bowl. And now, once again, they're going to be probably one of the best teams in the NFL. So I guess, Jen, whether it's specific to, what I said or just in general, like, do you see the Packers as basically not doing enough outside of the draft to consistently give Rodgers high-end veteran talent on the team?
I could kind of see where you're coming from a little bit. I mean, the Packers, it's not like they go out.
I don't want to interrupt you. I'm sorry, but true North Packer fan, if Bobby Wagner, in your opinion, is not a Hall of Famer, then you got to reevaluate your football position. Sorry, go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, may I speak now?
Yeah, sorry, but
I know where I was going with the point. No, I think
I suppose.
Oh, would you? I haven't said anything this whole show, and we're like 17 minutes in.
Go ahead. No,
but,
no,
I think maybe it's just because it doesn't seem like, at least in recent franchise history, they're not chasing like the big names in free agency for the most part. They're kind of going after guys who might fit better. Like, you get the Rasul Douglases instead of, I can't even think of the guy who we all wanted. Yeah. So like we all wanted Stephon Gilmore. We got Rasul Douglas, and it was kind of just like, what are the Packers doing? And then look how it turned out. So I get maybe it seems like they're not chasing those big name stars, but with Good, it seems like he's at least trying to find the right pieces. And maybe, I'm going to quote Miracle a little bit here, but it's, looking for the right players. So, I kind of get where you're coming from. I think that they do focus a lot more on the draft. Draft and develop is kind of the Packers way. Free agency, not as much their philosophy with things. They go out and get bodies, but they don't get stars usually. But this last year, it worked out. You get somebody like Douglas, and he turns out to be a star, and now we have him on contract, which is awesome. So sometimes things just work out. Yeah, I can understand why people might be frustrated, like you, Eli, with the whole thing where it's, kind of more doing their due diligence, putting their name in there, but how serious are they when these names come about? When it says, Packers are interested, but how interested are they? Are they actually trying to get these guys, or are they just kind of, doing their due diligence with that? Yeah, I guess I can see both ways a little bit, but I guess I pay more attention to, are they getting guys who are going to be beneficial to the team rather than like what talent are they chasing whenever there's a guy available. Obviously I guess I don't know at this point if the cap is real, considering what the Rams are doing. It seems like anytime there's someone available, they're signing him. So I'm not a money person, but I feel like most teams would not be able to do what they're doing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think what the Rams are doing, and kind of like what Tampa Bay was doing last year or the year before, whatever it was with Tom Brady, they're kind of just putting a lot of eggs in that basket, where I think the Packers try and look more long term. So like the Rams and the Buccaneers, it seems like what they were doing was, this is our year, this is the winning year, we're going to do it all now and then worry about things later. Whereas it seems like the Packers might be kind of focused on, this year, but also the following years. So maybe that's why they kind of chase the guys who maybe aren't as big of names, but who can be beneficial for years down the road. So I guess, my memory's terrible. I can't think of every guy that they've taken in free agency. Obviously, guys have worked out, with like the Smith brothers and Amos and guys like that. There's been things that have worked, but yeah, I guess just kind of in the last couple of years, free agency has kind of just been a lot of talk and then a lot of letdown. So I can understand why there might be frustration there.
Yeah, no, I think the biggest thing, like, I agree with you that for most teams, you don't want to go and put all, completely mortgage your future, put all your eggs in one basket for 1 year, this, that. But we've already known, not just last year, not even the year before, but for the last couple of years, no one was really sure Rodgers, how much longer he was going to play, how much longer, he'd play at a high level, this, that. Like, there's no reason that over the last few years, the Packers' mindset shouldn't have been every single year, okay, this is the year we need to win, because for all we know, Rodgers is not on our team next year, and we could be a 5-12 team coming up, or used to be 5-11, whatever it is. And again, it's not always about, signing some big names. Like here, I mean, like Bobby Wagner, it would have been cool, I guess, for the Packers side, but I wasn't even like dying for Bobby Wagner. I mean, I think Devondre Campbell does more than enough. Wagner is going to be 32 by the start of the season. The contract he got was a lot of money. It's not just about signing big names, but Von Miller had 2 sacks in the Super Bowl, and OBJ had a touchdown and nearly 100 yards, and he tore his ACL in the middle of the game. They were both huge, huge parts of winning the Super Bowl for that team. At the end of the day, people can say, oh, the Packers, signed OBJ, Rodgers still wouldn't have thrown him the ball because of trust this or trust that. I disagree. I think if you have a talent like OBJ with Aaron Rodgers, would it have been the first week or two that he would have been getting 10 targets? Probably not. But come playoff time, when Rodgers is looking for someone to throw to and Devontae Adams is doubled and triple teamed, I think he would have felt a lot safer throwing the ball to OBJ than maybe even Allen Lazard, who I do think he trusts, but you can't compare Allen Lazard to OBJ. But Zach, what's your take kind of on all that and where you stand?
You remember, the Packers are a team that builds their roster through the draft. They've always been that way. We've gotten so used to that through the years, and kind of like Jen said too, they're not putting all their eggs in one basket for one particular year, going all in to win one Super Bowl. Their goal is to stay competitive every single year, constantly, and to keep that chain going, whether Aaron Rodgers is there or whether Aaron Rodgers is not there. I don't believe that they just haven't given him help. I mean, they take their chances at free agency. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Martellus Bennett didn't work out. Like they identified weaknesses multiple years in a row. They went and grabbed Martellus Bennett and Lance Kendricks and Jared Cook. Obviously, a couple of those didn't work out that well, but they identified weaknesses and they went out and they made moves for them. Aaron Rodgers, his entire career, I know what your point is about going outside the building and bringing in a talent, but I mean, the whole premise of that of your argument and everything was to bring in talent, make the roster better, and win Super Bowls, right? Get Aaron Rodgers back to the Super Bowl. The thing is, they've had so many chances, even with the rosters that they've had, to get back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
they've had opportunities every single year, and they've done everything they possibly can to give him help. He's had an amazing offensive line throughout his entire career. Like, maybe 2015 when Don Barkley was playing at tackle, that was brutal.
And probably 2011, or even when he won that MVP, I think he was like the most sacked quarterback in the league. But yeah, for the most part, he has had a very good offensive line.
He's always had great guys to throw to. You can make the argument that the defense was not good enough at certain points, but the thing is, they kind of dug themselves into a hole with the way they drafted for a few years in a row. Ted Thompson's last few drafts, and they needed to keep solidifying that corner position, that safety position. Clinton Dix didn't work out. Demarius Randall and Quentin Rollins didn't work out. They needed to just kind of reshape that secondary. And when you do that, I mean, like I said, you're a team that notoriously builds to the draft. Sometimes when you see these names hit the market, and this is another thing too, like, I feel like social media makes things worse. As like people have too much access to certain things. We have too much access to like who's available, who's not available, the contracts and this and that, and how much a certain player is going to cost. Like, we have too much access to this shit. And then we see these reports that like, oh, the Packers are interested. We see from like fucking NFL Talk Sports, those stupid
Yeah.
accounts are like, oh, per source, the Packers are interested in Jarvis Landry and this and that.
Yeah.
The fuck, you shut up. You see things like
Yeah.
that, and it's like you get your hopes up, and then when the Packers don't sign those players, you come crashing back down to earth, and you come to the realization that, like, oh my god, the Packers are always there, but they're never closing the deal on these players. But
Says the guy who's like harassing Packers social media.
That's our Matthew.
That's
that
mostly
person's about to quit. They're one tweet away from turning in their resignation.
Look, okay. That's mostly a bid at this point.
Yeah, at this point.
Yeah. But I mean, that's kind of my point. Social media makes things so much worse, and every name that hits the market, these free agents, the Packers aren't going to go after them and try to bring them in or get into every conversation. Like they had an amazing offseason. They brought back Rodgers. They kept their all-pro linebacker. They brought back Tunyon for a year. They extended.
It sounds like Tunyon is ahead of schedule too.
And signed
Reed.
Jerron Reed. They got Kenny Clark some help finally with a guy who was an experienced starter, once had 10.5 sacks in a single season as a defensive tackle, which in itself is ridiculous. And what else did they do? Oh, they brought back Rasul Douglas.
Yeah.
So they have a competitive roster right now. They see what their receiver position looks like. And Mark Murphy even said it. Everyone's panicking, wondering who he's going to throw to. And that kind of led into the whole interesting comment. They're going to build this thing through the draft. They're going to reshape that room through the draft. They're not going to go after the Allen Robinsons or the Odell Beckham Jr.'s. I mean, with OBJ, they tried to. It came down to Green Bay and LA. And
yeah. But look, I get it that he chose LA over Green Bay, but I do think because it came out after the Packers basically offered him the veteran minimum. You could have tried a bit more. Look, maybe it wouldn't have mattered. Maybe they could have given the same money. Maybe they could have even given a little bit more. And like Devontae Adams, he wanted to play for the Raiders. And you know what? Maybe OBJ wanted to be in LA, and that was that. But to hear after the fact that the Packers basically offered him veteran minimum, which is also what they did to Jordy Nelson before he went to the Raiders. And from, I believe it was James Jones. I didn't mean to bring it up like that, but even James Jones.
Somebody already mentioned Jimmy Graham, so I was already upset about it.
But Jordy Nelson, he was potentially even going to take that deal because he's Jordy Nelson and he's just that kind of guy. But I'm sure his agent, his friends, people were like, "You're not doing that. That's insane." But it's not that they didn't try for OBJ, but you go and you offer a guy like OBJ the minimum amount of money you could give him. What do you expect?
But you also see that they were right in offering, Jen, cover your ears. They were right in offering Jordy Nelson that little bit of money because he flamed out in Oakland next year.
Yeah, but I still am in the belief that with Aaron Rodgers, no. Would he have put up 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns? Probably not. Could he have put up 800 yards and 6-7 touchdowns? Probably. And you didn't have to give him a huge deal and he would have stayed. But either way, it's not about Jordy. And I do hear what you're saying. It's not like, look, they've definitely made attempts. I think we obviously know the most for the draft, not free agency. But like you said, and I'm not even talking so much offensively. Because like when I made that tweet, it was about a Bobby Wagner signing, not about, someone signing Allen Robinson like the Rams did or whatever it is. It's you go and you look at the defenses outside of this year, and maybe you can make the argument about 2014, but there was a lot about 2014 outside of the offense, why they lost. But essentially every single playoff loss the Packers have had in Aaron Rodgers' career, the Packers defense have given up 35-plus points, 40-plus points, and that's what happens when, you know what they tried. They tried with Darius Randall and Quinton Rollins. You spent high draft capital, but it wasn't working, and they weren't good. And next thing you know, you have Ladarius Gunter covering Julio Jones in man coverage in the NFC Championship game. Like, what do you expect is going to happen?
And that's why you see why they made certain defensive free agent signings. The Muhammad Wilkerson signing, the Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith signings, the going out and finding Devondre Campbell in the street in minicamp, plucking Rasul Douglas off of
I don't think we can put Campbell and Douglas so much in this category because I don't even think the team could have expected what we got out of them, let alone the fans. Like
no, but that's trusting your scouts though. That's not swinging big for big name free agents that are on the market in March. Trusting your scouts, trusting that they'll identify talent at some point during the year and bringing them in to address the roster.
Yeah, look,
they swing and they miss. It happens.
Yeah,
But
no, I mean they did great jobs, obviously, with the Smiths and Amos and Campbell and Douglas. But though I think at least in Goody's tenure, the Smith Bros and Amos were clear like top guys. They went for them, they got him, and it worked out. Obviously, Z missed last year because of injury, but fine, those worked out for the most part. Okay, Campbell and Douglas, I don't think it's really fair to say, when you're comparing whether it's to the Rams or any other team making these big moves that's been going on this offseason, saying, well, we signed Rasul Douglas off a practice squad who has been, let's be real, not much of a name throughout most of his career, and Devondre Campbell off the street. And yeah, you know what? They worked out, and that's awesome. And like you said, credit to the scout team and credit to the front office for making those moves. But it's not – you can't say the Packers – these are, we're going for the Super Bowl. We want to win a Super Bowl right now. Let's go sign Rasul Douglas off the Cardinals practice squad. Like that's, not a Super Bowl winning move. It worked out and he did play well. But you go and Von Miller there was interest, before Von Miller signed with the Rams last year, or was it traded? It was traded. It was, Packers, Von Miller, this, that. And would things have been different? Who knows? But Von Miller, at the end of the day, is a massively good player. And even at the age he is now, he just signed like a 6-year, $120 million deal with the Bills for a reason, because he's Von Miller. So I'm not saying, and I like the fact that the Packers have the ability for the most part to draft, develop, and be a good team. But right now, let's say we don't trade or sign a veteran receiver. We can go and take receivers at 22 and at 28. Are any of us going to be super confident that from day one, they're just going to be like, great, yes. Okay, our offense is good. Like, I hope so. It depends who it is, but I think we've seen enough. First, rookie receivers, it's not so simple to just plug into an offense and they're great. So I would like to see a veteran addition.
No, of course, it's not that simple. But I think when you have guys that are as talented as like going within the first couple rounds, it's a lot easier than it is normally. Than it is drafting guys in the middle of the rounds like the Packers did in 2018. Sure. Yeah. And this is something that a lot of people are concerned about too with rookies, that Rodgers doesn't trust them. Which really the only examples of that we have are him getting upset in the summer of 2018 that they were having trouble with the carded sessions and things like that. That's the only evidence that we have. And this isn't the Mike McCarthy offense either. Guys are schemed open. As long as Aaron Rodgers is doing his job, he will get the ball into guys' hands. Guys are schemed into space. He knows where they're going to be. He knows where to get the ball.
Yeah.
So the whole trust thing doesn't do it for me anymore. That's not really like much of a narrative at this point. I
don't think it's a matter of trust. It's just a matter of
not you. I mean, like that's what people are concerned about with bringing in rookies and trusting them right out of the gate. This is a modern offense. This is the Matt LaFleur offense now. Guys can get open. They're not throwing 50-50 balls or forcing Aaron Rodgers to be Superman and lead guys open. It's nothing like that anymore. So you get like a Chris Olave or a Christian Watson. They will find success from day one. I don't think you're going to be Jamar Chase good or Justin Jefferson good right out of the gate, but they're going to be positioned for success. They're going to be in positions to make plays.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, receivers going into a LaFleur offense over a McCarthy offense is very, very different. But Jen, what were you going to say?
Did I look like I was going to say something?
It did look like you were going to say something.
Oh, I probably had a thought, and then like somebody probably kept talking, and then my point didn't matter anymore because we had moved
somebody
past
why don't you just tag me, huh?
Well, you kept going, and then I had like a point here and a point there, and then I was like, I'm not going to interrupt him because then I'll get yelled at, and then
you wouldn't get yelled at.
No yelling here on Open Book, especially on Hawaiian night. We're all supposed to be very chilled.
Yeah, Eli's the one that yelled, not me.
No, I was just gonna say, like, to your like trust thing. I mean, in a year like this, there's really no time to build trust. Like, you don't have many seasons to build trust in a receiver. Like, it's gonna have to be sign that guy and go. So there's no time for, maybe next season they'll have a better connection. Like it's got to be this year. Got to click right away. So there's no time for that. And, the front office obviously knows the situation. They'll either go out and sign a veteran or hope that they can get 2 high receivers or something. But, I mean, they're aware of what's going on. They're not just going to leave that position open and have Lazard and Cobb and Rodgers be the only receivers on this team. Like, they know what they're doing. They know what's out there. I'm sure there's conversations going on that we have no idea are happening. I would like to see them sign a veteran just to have one in that room to kind of match Cobb and because I don't want Cobb to be the only receiver in there. I'd like to have somebody who plays the position a little differently in there, whether it's to play or to help guys who are coming in, just kind of that learning curve to help whoever they draft, which hopefully is a high receiver. But yeah, I don't hold my breath on anything with free agency. I have learned my lesson on that. I don't get too excited about anything. I just kind of wait and see. And then once somebody is signed, then I go from there. But I mean, the team knows what to do. And yeah, if whoever they sign, I'm just going to hope that they have that connection right away and they can work hard at it and everything works out. And if it's a young receiver coming out of the draft, hopefully they transition okay, because that's always a fear. You just never know how somebody's going to go from college to NFL. So those higher receivers, though, it's a little bit easier for them. We've seen just kind of through watching whatever has been happening the last couple of years. But yeah, there's just a lot of question marks, and it's just all speculation at this point from us, from anybody talking. We have no idea what's going to happen until somebody's name is said or, the Packers announce a signing. So yeah, I don't know. I just kind of sit back and I watch the chaos from behind a screen, and I don't get too involved in it. I just kind of, I'm just waiting for something to happen. I watch everyone else do all the fighting and just enjoy it.
Yeah, I think regardless of, they could go and trade for the best receiver in the league. If you're, like Zach said, if you're in the mind of, oh, well, Rodgers isn't going to trust him, they could go and they could have made the Tyreek Hill trade, and you would say, oh, but he hasn't played with him, he's not going to trust him. Obviously, that's not going to be the case, because whether
Devontae Adams was new at one point, Jordy Nelson was new at one point.
Yeah.
Like all these guys were new at one point.
So exactly. So whether
every receiver is new to Rodgers at some point in their career.
Yeah, whether it's going to be,
the connection goes both ways, and you just got to hope that everybody's on the same page.
Yeah. So yeah, if you draft guys, they're going to have to get acclimated to the offense quickly. If you trade for someone or sign someone, no matter what, anyone you bring in is obviously not going to have experience with Aaron Rodgers, and they may or may not have experience somewhat in Matt LaFleur's type of offense. But like Zach said, this is no longer an offense like when it was with McCarthy, that was so just like, you must win this one-on-one route. Rodgers has to put the ball exactly in one specific spot, or this play is not going to work. Like LaFleur has guys just kind of running free at times that are just open. So it's basically, if you're in the NFL, you're going to catch more balls than not, even if you're not the greatest talent, which is why I do think the Packers could, even leave the first round without a receiver. I know a lot of fans would be upset, but if they walk away with, let's say in the second round, they get Christian Watson and Jalen Tolbert. Like, I think that them two, paired with Cobb and Lazard and Amari Rodgers, that's a pretty good wide receiver room.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers was completing passes to Tyler Davis last season, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
So, like,
Dominique Daffney.
He played an NFC Championship game with Janis and Aberdarius. Like,
yeah.
Things
I
always
never
work out the way they need to. Good players will acclimate fast, and the Packers aren't going to go out there and get guys who aren't good.
Yeah, I mean, we do trust the front office because they've given us reason to. It's just, look, the only reason I made the tweet that I made was just because at the end of the,
Just kidding.
If it was 5 years ago, it wouldn't be as like, oh my gosh, okay, we got to do something. But right now, it's like, that any year could be the last year of what. Yes, but look, if we make two selections in the first round and there's no receiver, Packers Twitter is going to be very fun to watch that night. But what I was saying, it's just right now, that like the Rams right now, Stafford's younger than Rodgers. They gave him an extension that we actually expect him to play most of. Rodgers, who knows how much of this extension he's going to play. But we know that Rodgers, any season could be his last. So in my opinion, yes, you always want to be competitive. You never want to go from being a Super Bowl contender and then you lose your quarterback and you're winning three to 5 games a year. But when you know that any year could be the last, you should be going all out. Why is it so? It's not even going all out. Right now, I would bet a lot of money that you can go and get Brandon Cooks for a day 3 pick with ease. I think they could call the Texans and say, hey, we have 2 4th-rounders. Here's one of them for Brandon Cooks. And that deal is done in 10 minutes because Brandon Cooks is on a team that's going to win 3 games next year, and why do they need him on there and paying him? Like, what are the Texans doing with Brandon Cooks? Why can't you go make that move? Or, I mean, there doesn't have to be the DK Metcalf where, look, it would be great, and I would give up a first-round pick for DK Metcalf because he'll be more day one ready than any receiver we could draft in this draft. But it just, when I looked at the Wagner signing today, it was not specific. It was specific to the Rams, but just in general. Like Jen mentioned earlier, well, there's Brady. This was the Rams. We've seen other teams do it, and sometimes it doesn't work. We've seen teams load up in free agency and trades and completely flop. I know one year the Eagles did it. They were calling them the dream team, this, that. They sucked. Totally didn't work out. It doesn't always work, but at least show that you're willing to not just bring in, and again, Campbell and Douglas worked out better than anyone could have imagined, but if you're able to make that Von Miller trade, or if you're able to go and give a little bit more money for OBJ, who knows? They know that San Francisco game could have been very different, so it's just, for me, it's a buildup of not just one season. It's a buildup of the last 15 years of seeing veterans that are looking for contending teams, whether it's in free agency or at the trade deadline, and it's the Packers are interested, they're expressed whatever, and they don't do anything about it. And it's like, at what point are you going to say we're going absolutely all in to try to win a Super Bowl this year? And right now should be that time, because I just think, who knows how much longer you're going to have Aaron Rodgers. So why are we waiting?
Whoever's dog that is disagreeing with everything Eli is saying.
It's definitely not my dog.
Definitely not mine, because mine's about, 5,000 miles away.
Am I the only one who hears a dog barking?
It was my dog.
No, it's
That's being sarcastic.
Like, I don't have a dog, so.
That's my loaf of bread dog, my fat dog.
Your loaf of bread.
I need to run, guys.
Yeah. Zach has to head out a bit early, but honestly, I feel like we all got a lot off our chest today on this show. I'm not sure there's honestly too much more to discuss. So I think as Zach goes, we can all go. So let's just do a quick wrap up here.
All right.
Yeah, so everyone who came in and tuned in, we appreciate it. The comments were flying tonight. We try to keep up, but there was a lot coming in, but we appreciate you watching. We'll see you next week. Who knows? Could be a lot more news. Hopefully some more stuff will be going down. But until then, as always, you can find Zach at It's Zachariah. Oh, gosh. I'm so used to saying Zachariah. At It's Zachary J on Twitter.
Do you want me to change back? Do you want me to go back to
do. I really kind of do.
I don't know, man. I'll think about it.
And then you can follow Jen at BigMac_4 on Twitter, and myself at Book of Eli _NFL. Everyone, keep a cool head. It's a long off season. We'll see how this draft goes.
You need to tell yourself that.
I was gonna say Eli's like sweating after this conversation.
Well, it's just frustrating, but we can't go further into it. But as always, we appreciate you watching. And True North Packer fan, we were going to do an R-Tech read, but then you said Bobby Wagner wasn't a Hall of Famer, and I just couldn't be a part of it. So we'll do it next week. R-Tech, though, thank you so much, as always, for sponsoring the show. We appreciate you and everything you do. Everyone, have a great night. Go, Pack, go.
What you think, Fred? All right.
Fred.
Like, dude, you're an idiot.
I'm doing very well, Jen. It's definitely me and you or Eli and Zach gonna pop in.
Yeah, they'll talk every once in a while, but he was already here right away.
It kind of, well, we're used to you attacking us, so.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Look at
Let's just put it this way. Who do you see as the quarterback